We got questions. Josh Allen going #1. Why is he ahead of Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, the guys we've heard all the hype about?
Who went out the best? Who had the best finish to the season? It wasn't Josh Rosen because he didn't play. 32 days in concussion protocol. It wasn't Sam Darnold. You saw the Ohio State game, which was a disaster for Sam. Turnovers, missed throws. But you saw Josh Allen playing a game where he didn't have to play in. Coming off a shoulder injury, 2 games he didn't play, they lost. Comes out, lights it up. Granted, it's Central Michigan, but it's a bowl game. It still was pressure on. And Wyoming's not elite, okay? And I think with the physical ability he has, size, arm, mobility, competitiveness, put him in Cleveland in a division where every team in that division, including your 8 home games, a lot of those games are in inclement conditions. I think he fits the bill as to what physically you're looking for. Joe Flacco's getting up there in age now. Back's an issue. Think about Roethlisberger, always talking retirement. Andy Dalton. Hey, all of a sudden now, if you nail that quarterback and you get that running back at 4, you're ahead of the game. And they already got some really good players on the defensive side.
Mel, you're driving me crazy already, and I love you. Here's the problem, Mel Kiper Jr. We're talking Wyoming, which you have already acknowledged isn't big time per se. This is a guy in junior year threw 15 interceptions. Last year, where was that sophomore year? I'm sorry, last year, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, just 1,812 yards in 11 games. Mel Kiper, I got a question. Is anybody, any of these quarterbacks, worthy of being a top 10 pick? Any of them?
Well,
do you have to take a quarterback?
Was Ben Roethlisberger worthy coming out of the Mid-American Conference? When you look back at being the #1 pick, he wasn't. You should have said the same thing about him. If you look back, he did not play well against Iowa. At Iowa City against that Hawkeye defense, neither did Josh Allen because his team was overmatched.
But I recall you raving about Big Ben, if I remember correctly.
But what I'm saying is the same criticism you have of Josh Allen, you could have about Ben in terms of the Iowa game this year. Didn't go well because Wyoming lost key guys, center, running back, tight end, wide receiver to the NFL, and you can't reload at Wyoming.
Look at yeah, I was just going to say that North Dakota State.
Yeah, but I think the real concern,
Still North Dakota State.
real concern, Molly, guys, is the 56.2 completion percentage. No quarterback in the NFL came out of college with a lower one except Josh McCown. That's it, of the starting quarterbacks. And Josh didn't even finish the year as a starter. And that means that nobody else did. If you go back to Jake Locker, he was at 54. Kyle Bowler was at 48.8. That is a concern, but it's Wyoming. It's what he did when he was out there, how he talked about winning and getting that team to where they wanted to be in a bowl game. When he was out, they lost to San Jose State. Oh, come on. That's the difference that Josh Allen meant to Wyoming when he's in there and when he's out of the lineup.
From Tom Brady to Russell Wilson and most Dak Prescott, Jimmy G, you don't have to take a quarterback in the first round even or second round.
Now you're talking my running back talk. You're spilling over, Matt.
Last year I thought it was Jamal Adams.
Right.
The lowest downside, right? Who is that guy this year who can't fail any position?
Well, I think we had discussed Minkah Fitzpatrick. And there's a kid in Bradley Chubb, the defensive end from NC State, who sprints onto the field every practice. Minkah is incredibly smart. He's battle-tested.
From Alabama.
Safety corner. Remember, corner turned safety. When Eddie Jackson broke the leg, hey, we kick him inside. He does everything. He plays slot. He can do everything. That's what you have to do in the NFL today. Be versatile and multi-talented. Minkah and smart. Minkah Fitzpatrick is ideally suited for today's NFL. You could make that argument with it. He's the safest pick in the draft.
You know, I'm looking at this right now, and we're talking about Josh Rosen. You brought up Sam Darnold. Now we talk about Josh Allen. Baker Mayfield is the Heisman Trophy winner. Baker Mayfield went to the National College Football Playoffs. Yeah. Baker Mayfield was playing for one of the top teams in the nation and led them with more than 70% completion 2 straight years. Why are we not talking more about him?
Well, he's 6 feet tall, and you think about the antics away from on the field, off the field issue. He's got to mature a little bit. I agree with you in terms of a guy that you want to go to war with. I mean, this team, the players love him, coaches love him, opponents hate him. Well, that's what you want. And I think for Baker Mayfield, I think Senior Bowl will be important because they can say, well, Russell Wilson was there, didn't help him. He still went in the 3rd round. Russell Wilson's 5'10" and 3/4. He was down there in Mobile. Everybody was raving. Why'd he drop to the 3rd round? Because no other quarterback that size had made it. Now that Russell Wilson's made it, that helps Baker Mayfield. So does Drew Brees, who was 6 feet tall coming out. There you go. So Baker, I think, is a mid-first round.
You're the guru. I will defer to you. How much is this? I'm talking about you projecting what NFL scouts are telling you what have it. How much of this is about his ability? How much of it is about the fact that he might remind some folks of Johnny Manziel, and that's what they're scared of?
When I mention Johnny Manziel's name, the supporters of Baker Mayfield are ready to kill me.
What about the naysayers of Baker Mayfield?
He doesn't have a lot.
Okay.
He doesn't have many. And for Baker, I think if he wouldn't have had some of those antics and goes to the Senior Bowl, and even with that, if he goes down there and he shows, I think how he handles himself. Some guys, it's about all the other. It's about how he handles himself. All eyes will be on that. Okay. ESPN's going to be down there. Going to be hearing Baker Mayfield. If you watch the practice, you'll hear how he handles himself. And those players really love him. They'll go through.
I love him.
He could end up, and I gave him to Washington. People say, why? Well, what if Kirk Cousins doesn't work out? What if they want to move on from that big contract and draft Baker Mayfield 13? If they get Cousins under a long-term deal, which is what Jay Gruden wants, then all of a sudden that's a hot spot for a trade. That's where the trades can happen because Arizona's picking a couple picks later at 15. They could look at Mayfield. So I think if you want to jump up and get Mayfield, it may be that pick at 13 because if the Redskins don't want a quarterback, there really doesn't seem to be a great fit for them at that particular point.